Hello and welcome everyone, and on today's live show our normal catch up on news around the Pico, Pico 2, RP2040, RP2350 and anything else really that catches my eye as I think of interesting. Of course we'll talk about the projects that I'm working on and anything else I've seen. This is a live stream though where I can share a bit more behind the scenes of what's going on, and I'll share a little bit more about my challenges with the channel and where I'm taking it and where we're going at the moment. So hi, I'm John, your concierge to the world of the Raspberry Pi Pico, Pico 2, IoT, robotics and other fun tech. Welcome to my channel. So this is a live stream. It's a more relaxed world of the Pico and my broadcast. An insider view on the channel and a bit more interactive. So an opportunity for me to ask that, where are you guys? Tell me, you know, use the chat service, get back to me, tell me what's going on in your world, where are you? I'm in the UK on a grey and slightly miserable Sunday afternoon. You might be somewhere much sunnier and much brighter, who knows? If it's the first time that you're joining us on the channel, thank you very much for coming. It's lovely to have you. And if you're returning, even more, thank you for coming back. I appreciate it. Please do like and subscribe. I appreciate all of your thoughts, all of your likes, and you guys being part of my journey. So, well, slides, next slide. Good, right. So, how you all doing, guys? I hope keeping well. I hope projects are going well. Mine are, though, been busy. Lots of stuff going on recently. Ooh, sounds going a little bit weird, I think, from the dials. Hope you can hear me okay. So it's October already, and we're heading into the end of the year. And my mind, because of a broadcast nature and the fact that I try and key up content before the event, is turning towards Christmas and that end of year, because I need to get stuff done and keep planning in advance. So there's stuff that I'm working on there around Christmas already, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that and tease you a little bit more about that later in the live stream. What projects are you working on? What's coming up in your world? I'd love to know about it. I'd love to share a little bit more in these about your worlds and some of the stuff you're doing. So please do share. Any comments or quality, you know, there's a chat box. Please do hit the chat and put stuff in. Let's make sure I can see the live chat for anyone who's chatting and taking part. So what's the agenda for today's show? Well, we're going to have my normal agenda of the Pico news, projects, what's going on the channel, and finally some Q&A as always. Always fun. So if you've got any questions, live questions are also good. Please do ask them as we go through. So let's start with the news of what's going on around the world of the Pico and unexciting tech. At least as I see it, you might see it differently, in which case let me know, because it's good to have you know, similar views and share stuff. So I guess the first exciting thing I thought and I saw this month was PIMoroni coming out with a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth enabled RP2350 board, the PIMoroni Pico 2 Plus W. This really looks quite exciting because this is, you know, way ahead of the Pico 2W coming out, which we're hoping around Christmas. It uses the RM2, which is the same Wi-Fi module that the Pico 2W will be using, which is really, really cool. Annoyingly, there is no libraries for this though, as far as I can find. I could find some Python libraries, I can't find any C libraries, and I can't find any specs. So it looks cool, but it's sort of, I've got a feeling it might be something that you put on the shelf and look at rather than do anything with at the moment, which is annoying. But it's interesting to see what's coming. So we wait desperately for the Pico 2W announcement, and then perhaps that will explain what this RM2 module is. It also opens the question of what is the RM1? And there's been some debate online, and I think the consensus is the RM1 was one of the modules for Wi-Fi on one of the Raspberry Pis, but don't know. It's interesting. Who knows how this is working and what this is. So that was the first thing I saw that came out this month that I thought was interesting news. Second thing was another Raspberry Pi launch for the AI camera. Now the really cool thing about this is you probably saw that that camera has an RP2040 on it. That is what is running the AI algorithms. So it's then communicating back to the Raspberry Pi over I2C along the same ribbon cable, along with the full data of the stream video. So that looks really interesting. So that's able to run things like object recognition and tracking algorithms. And my friend Dan from Make Things has actually done a video on this, and he's demonstrating it out with his companion robot, and it looks quite cool, I must admit. Take a look at his video if you haven't done so already. And I also wanted to call out to the other worlds of chat and conversation that are available online for us as developers around the Pico ecosystem. So there's few people have asked me if I'd be interested in setting up a Discord server where we can collaborate a bit more and stuff. And I'm trying to resist going down that route because it's got a lot of admin overhead and a lot of time will be spent in that, which I just don't have with everything else I'm trying to balance. So I'm instead want to actually try and champion some of the more successful Discord servers out there and groups, and actually take part in them and be one of their champions for hopefully bringing people in. And DJE&x is one of those that I've had a presence in and been posting some of my content to for a while. Yeah, so DJE&x is based on Discord, though they're rapidly moving in the world of these rest of social too. And they also now have a regular weekly catch-up for an hour of face-to-face chat with some speakers and experts and show and tells and things. And they were kind enough to invite me along to it. They call it Dev Anon. And this week I went along to their Dev Anon session and talked about one of my Halloween projects, which was quite fun. So they got really the insider view of this new project, which you haven't seen yet because it's coming up and probably going out next Sunday as a video. And it's a wave share screen to animate these eyes on a skull, which I think was quite cool. It's it's a relatively simple project. Anyone can get into it. Yeah, I thought it would be fun to share. And so that was fun working with them and doing that with them. If you want to look, I've actually got the head and the tracking eyes, or the moving eyes. Here we go. So it's basically just two screens which are talking together and doing some clever animation on the eyes. And I will tell you next week all about how you do that and how easy it is. And it is really, really quite easy. So that was fun. So if you're looking for a developer community online, have a look at DJE&x. That's a good place to chat and ask questions and have a bit of fun. Oh dear, my computer's gone into wait on PowerPoint at the moment. So I'm trying to get it to move on to the next slide. That's not good, is it? So what's going on here? Why is PowerPoint not going to behave? So my apologies for this, technical problems. Let me force quit PowerPoint and restart it. and we can go on from there. Don't normally have technical problems at that level of PowerPoint not working, I must admit. That is unusual for me, but oh hum. It happens. Perhaps it doesn't like the video as always. So let's go up and tell you about the final bit of exciting, or well, final bit of news or stuff that I came across. The other bit that, you know, the news that I've been struggling my way through is bugs, and they've been bugging me. And one of the bugs that have been bugging me are quite a couple that I keep on stumbling across in things, the SDK 200. And that particular one was when I was working with those little screens, because those boards actually have a little bit more flash memory on than a traditional Pico. And so you want to actually tell the compiler that you've got more space for it to put your firmware and your images and things. Of course I do. So how do you do that? Well, to do that, what we of course do is set the board in the CMake list file .txt. Well, that's what I've been doing since the first version of the SDK, and indeed enough, and since the first version of the SDK, and since that really all came out. But suddenly on SDK 200 it doesn't work. It completely ignores it, and it just focuses on using the standard Pico board and just ignores whatever you set the board to in the CMake's list.txt file. Now you can get around this by of course using the -D command option on CMake, and that will work fine to set the board. But it is slightly frustrating, and it does sort of break nearly every one of my Pico W projects. So that really did annoy me a little bit. But you can actually also get around this by just setting the platform at the same time as you set board within your CMake list.txt file, and that does seem to fix the problem, which is something. But yeah, there's a couple of things at the moment that just slow me down, and I'm finding and stumbling across things as we adapt to the new Pico 200 ecosystem, and having the 2040 and the 2350 as platforms. But anyway, those were the news items I came across. What news items did you come across? Is there anything I missed that I should be talking about? If there is, please do let me know. You know, don't just sit there ignoring it. Tell me what you'd like to hear about, and we can make sure that those get included on the channel. So, projects next on the agenda. What projects have I been working on? Well, you know, you see a lot of the projects, not all of it, but you see a lot of the projects that I work on. So stuff that I have been playing around with in the last month or so have been that RP2040 touch display from Waveshare, and I did a good review session on a project on that, or video on that, showing you how that all works, giving you really the inside view and my view on that. It is a great little panel, with the exception of SWD not being there. Libraries are not bad, but you know, as quite commonly, the examples are not as easy to get on with as you'd like, and the documentation on the libraries are not quite as good as you would hope. But that seems to be very common around these hobby modules, to be honest. The other one I looked at was the RP2350 and its SHA256. So hashing algorithm, and the fact that it can now do that in hardware, and how much faster that is. So we had a little look at the performance of that, and it is actually astoundingly quick. But that will come in more useful as we move into having Wi-Fi when that Pico 2W comes around. Also began to introduce you to my rather big build project of this weather station, and the first one of those, just trying to introduce you to some of the hardware. Need to get into talking about the PCB next, which will be coming up hopefully next month, and then I want to talk about some other bits and pieces on that as well, around how the software's working, how power management's working, etc. In fact, I was having a little bit of a debate with a guy on around the comments on my YouTube channel, because actually power management and actually how we get battery powered things to last a long time is something that I know a lot of us in the community are interested in. I've also talked about this DF Robots SN0500 aggregate sensor. So this gives you temperature, atmospheric pressure, humidity, light luminous levels and UV. It's quite a nice little composite sensor, and though it isn't targeted really against the Pico because they don't produce software for the Pico, but you can easily use it from the Pico, and I'll show you how in that video. That's worth a look. That only went out Thursday. Not been great is view rate on that one, so please do go and look at it. It was a lot of work, and I'd love you to see it. But those are the videos that I've been working on and the projects that are really out there at the moment. The couple of things coming up that you might want to know about and just pencil into the back of your head to keep an eye out for. So first of all is I've updated my framework and working with MicroROS so that I could actually run that on the Pico 2. So I'll look at how I can actually get my robot arm to actually work through MicroROS on the Pico 2. The reason I want to do that is I want to be able to push more of the workload down onto the Pico 2, and the extra power and that mass coprocessor or mass capability on the Pico 2 make that really, really possible. I'm also going to do another one of the fireside chats and have a guest on the channel. So Dan from Dan Make Things and his companion robot. So they'll be coming up at the end of the month to chat about his journey and all of the wonderful stuff he's been doing. It's a great channel. Go check him out and look out for that episode. And of course, as I've already said, we're going to do a Halloween special. I wasn't originally going to do a Halloween special. This one actually span out of another project, and the project it span out of was Christmas, because I'm busy building Christmas, and Christmas is coming out early this year because my Christmas build is an advent calendar, so that's going to be out the end of November. And yes, that's what it looks like on a breadboard. Now actually it's not going to be on a breadboard. I've gone from breadboard to prototype board, and then decided that prototype board's a bit on the complex side and gone to actually fabricated PCB. So probably coming out with two videos, one looking at the actual concepts and what I'm building and how I've built it on the prototype board, and one looking at how I then converting that and manufacturing it almost into a fabricated board and why I want to do that. So yeah, Christmas, it's here already and it's fun. And in fact, bits of it are sitting on the shelf behind me. So it's all happening. So those are the projects I'm working on. I'd love to see some of your stuff and know a little bit more about the projects you're doing. Are you doing any projects for Christmas? Why don't you tell me about it? Why don't we get either my November or December live stream to actually showcase and show some of your stuff and some of the great projects that I know you guys must be working on. Let me know. Get in touch, DM me somewhere, drop me an email, whatever you need to do. My contact details are always on the end of the YouTube descriptions. Let me know and we can make sure that you get a mention and we get to see your projects, and I'd love that. So just before we go into stuff about my channel, the other thing I wanted to briefly say, and the other video I want to briefly just push a little bit, is my Dyslexia and Me video. So I talk a little, I have talked once a year or so a little bit about greater diversity. It's difficult showing diversity when there's just one of you on the channel, because your diversity of one is not significant, but there are things in my neurodiversity and myself that I think are important. There are other diversity areas as well that are important, so I wanted to share diversity a little bit with the channel and talk a little bit about dyslexia and my experience of dyslexia in the workspace. So if you're interested, please go and look at that video. It's probably one of the hardest videos I've done, even though it actually is only me talking to camera. It's not got any builds, it's not got any of that, but it's that emotional ride, which is harder to do. Go check it out, guys. So let's talk about the channel. So this is the section where I tell you what my broadcast schedule is and what we're up to and where things are going. A bit more of an inside view of what's going on and stuff. So broadcasts are continuing with my full blog on a Thursday, always 2 o'clock London time. It's been BST, we're coming up to the end of the month, so it will jump into GMT, I guess. Then I'm continuing to put out the summary of that video on the following Tuesday, which is somewhere around 3 minutes if I can get it to 3 minutes. Sundays has become the live stream, and it used to be Shorts Day, but it's now, well, it's now sort of whatever I can get out that I think actually is going to add value and I think people would like. So I'm jumping around a little bit on what I'm doing on Sundays. So for instance, next Sunday is going to be the Halloween special episode. So it's all sort of stuff, and there's also a few reels that I've been producing that I'm using for the other social media that I've also pushed to YouTube, though I was expecting them all to end up in the shorts category, but they're not. So I've done something wrong and I'm not quite sure I know what. I'll have to have a look at that, of what's going on. My automation software isn't working as I hoped. So I guess the big news on my channel, and the big thank you to all of you guys, is for subscriber base, and to say thank you very much. We now have 4,000 subscribers. I can't believe there are 4,000 of you out there listening to me. Thank you very much for watching and for listening and being part of the journey. It's great, and I'm bowled over that there are even 4,000. I was bowled over when there was 400. 4,000's credible, so all good stuff and that. Of course, YouTube are pushing me to look at something slightly different in terms of metrics. YouTube's metric that they're really interested in me focusing on is this thing called watch hours. And they really want to focus on how many watch hours you're getting in the last 365 days. And they have a magic target that they want you to get to when they become you become a partner and get access to all of their big toys, and that's when you hit 4,000 hours of public watch hours in a year. And as you can see, according to analytics from YouTube, I'm actually there. Public watch hours of main videos appears to be over 4,000 hours, but actually it's not, because YouTube publish another version of that, which is their validated version, where they remove and massage the figures in some way that I don't entirely understand. That means that actually we're still under that number, and I still haven't managed it. In fact, the distance between that and the analytics figures growing, which is kind of concerning, really. It started at the end of August at 200 on my analysis here. It's ended up this week at 300 hours of difference. That's a lot, and I don't know, that's 7%. That's a massive amount, but never mind. Look, my focus has got to be in, can I close that gap? How do I push us up there? And the way I do that is by focusing on producing content that I think you'll like, and which is generally content that I think I'd like. So it's stuff that I think adds value, is useful to the community, and has some fun and worthwhile content in it to watch. And that's where we're going to go. And that's what I will keep focusing on. And hopefully that will get me to that magic 4,000 hours number. But anyway, what we have got already on the channel, and thank you very much for using it, is the super thanks button, which is below the video, which is your opportunity to be able to give me cash tips by, and that's money that I'm then going to save up and put towards getting me to go to open source in San Francisco next year, which is a conference which includes developer and developer ecosystem and embedded systems, and a lot of Pico and RP2040 and RP2350 content. And I'd really appreciate your helping getting me there if I can. And of course, I'd love to meet loads of you in person there if we can as well. So that's what I'm trying to do. Please use the button if you feel I've added value to you. I'd appreciate every dime. A coffee, a virtual lunch, all good money, and I will put it all towards that open source conference. And keep an eye out for me across the other social streams as well. I do publish across all of them. Possibly it's a similar stuff across all of them, though I'm more likely to reply and more likely to put special content onto Instagram and LinkedIn. They tend to be the more more closer to me sort of channels than the others, but they're there. Please do follow me across the other channels too. And remember, I've got my Udemy courses out there. This is, part of what funds this work and allows me to do this stuff is the revenue I get from those courses. So everything from, getting started on your Pico journey to, building some little tiny fun projects, to working with more serious frameworks like FreeRTOS, IoT and web services. And I've updated the introductory course to include the new VS Code Pico extension, finally, and cover the SDK 2.0.0 and the RP2350 and talk about how all of those can be used. So that's there as well. And to celebrate that, and indeed reaching 4,000 subscribers, I've got those courses on sale at the moment. And you can find a link to, or you can find on my posts on YouTube, the vouchers for that sale. So go enjoy that. Go buy stuff if you can. So that takes us to Q&A. So I've got one Q&A that I've had in advance, and no live questions that I can see on the chat at the moment. You're all being really quiet this week, guys, which is fine. It's up to you, but I'd love to know what's going in your heads. So the one live question I have this week is around video playback from the MSP 2401. Which is this screen that we talked about and I sort of showed a few times. And really the question there is, can we actually play video to it? Because I failed in that video to be able to do that. And I was going to explain a little bit more about why did I fail and could we get around those problems. So generally there are a few areas where this failed to be able to do video. I mean, one of the first reasons is I just couldn't pull data fast enough off the SD card. I'm reading the SD card on this via SPI, and that's only a single serial interface. I just didn't seem to get enough data throughput from the SD cards to be able to do it. There is another interface to SD cards, a more modern one, where you run across 4 bits. And I think you could probably get closer to the required throughput. So that would be one option. but it would be a complete redesign of this because we're using this screen which already has this SPI interface to the SD card underneath it. So sort of, you know, you'd need a completely different SD card reader to be able to add that into it. The second challenge into this, I think, is the PNG decoding. Now, PNG decoding is a relatively large amount of work for the processor and for something like an RP2040. So if we upgraded to an RP2350, then I think we have, you know, 2 or 3 times the Intel mass calculation speeds, which I think would help significantly in the decoding speed and getting yourself to it. You might be able to get there actually faster. Or the other part of that, I think, actually is where you're pushing the data from. Because of the amount of RAM available to me on an RP2040, I wasn't able to create a complete frame buffer for the display. So I'm actually pushing the image out to the display a line at a time, which you can see because you can see it drawing a line at a time down there. Now, you could push out the whole image if we had more RAM. And one place you could get more RAM is if you upgraded to an RP2350. So at that point, if we can actually decode the a whole screen at a time, and then send the whole screen at a time down to the display, I think that's improving it. You could then do that by using DMA to do the send while the processor is starting to decode the next frame. So that, again, I think would really significantly help. You know, and at the end of the day, you know, if this really doesn't work like that or quite as well as we would like, there are other options. Why not just store all of the frames pre-decoded in the 16-bit color format required for these displays directly in flash RAM? And if we used a board that had a lot more RAM, like the Pico 2 Plus from PIMoroni, which has got 16 meg of RAM, then actually I could probably hold a nice bit of video in there, and then I could push that directly to the display, and I'm sure I could get that to be a viable video playback directly on the display. So there's quite a lot of opportunities and quite a lot of ways you could push that project to actually get it to a point where you're actually doing video display on these displays. Well, that's my view anyway. I think there's certainly a lot more research that needs to happen. What do you think? Has anyone actually tried it? Anyone wants to try it? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. Any questions from the community? It doesn't look like it. It looks like we're going to have a very quiet day, which is fine by me. So that's the questions I had for this week, and it was great to answer them. Of course, when people ask questions on any of my videos, I always try and answer if I can. Not every question can I answer, but you know, I'll give you some pointers and some suggestions, and we can go from there. And hopefully those are useful. So thank you very much for joining me today. It's been another exciting live stream and bit of fun. I'll do another live stream in November. I'd love to hear a little bit more about you and your questions and your builds and projects that we could talk about and get you involved in it. And perhaps, you know, that November or December live stream, let's do some Christmas show and tell of your projects. Let me know what you've built, and please message me or drop me an email, and we can see if I can get that on the channel, and that would be fabulous. Please like and please subscribe and stay involved. And until the next time, keep tinkering. Thank you very much. Bye bye, guys.